You want a podcast? Welcome to Flute 360, the podcast that reminds you everything is connected. I'm Dr. Heidi K. Begay, flutist, educator, creative entrepreneur, and follower of Christ. Here, we explore the full circle, the 360 of your life as a musician, because who you are as a person shapes who you are as an artist, and the lessons you learn outside the practice room are just as vital as the hours with your flute in hand. From health and spiritual growth to artistry and career fulfillment, this space is where it all intersects. Come as you are. There's a seat for you at the Flute 360 table. Today's episode is 343, and it's titled Musician Wellness Habits, Daily Routines to Boost Focus, Energy, and Joy with Marquelle Brown. Hey there, Flute 360er. Have you ever felt like you're waiting for permission to finally take your flute dreams seriously? Like, if just one more person believed in you, maybe you'd finally believe in yourself too? My friend, your waiting ends here. The Flute 360 Accelerator is your home base, the place where modern-day flutists finally get the support, strategy, and soul they've been missing. No more guessing your next step. No more feeling like you don't belong. Inside, we walk with you. Real coaching, real community, real transformation. Whether you're still in school or carving your own path, this is where clarity clicks, artistry awakens, and your voice gets amplified. Our next live session is Saturday, October 25th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central, and Tier 2, our most popular level, gives you full participation plus masterclasses, book club, and hot seat coaching. So stop waiting for someone else's permission slip. Click the link, come join us, and let's get your 360 transformation started today. Well, if you want to hop into it, I would love to pick your brain, and thank you so much for carving out time for us.
Yes. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. So maybe tell the listeners a little bit about like your backstory as a flutist, as a mom, as a licensed coach and nutritionist. You wear all these different hats, and I would love to sit in this same chair and get to know you that much better, because I do know you in a group setting, and we've had some private-esque Voxer messages back and forth, but I get to let my hair down and really listen in and tune into you and your path and where God is taking you. And I can't wait to get to know you that much better too.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm Marquelle Brown, and we have 6 children. My oldest is 27 and my youngest is 13, almost 14. And I even have 2 little grandbabies. They're little boys, and they're so cute and walking and starting to talk. And I'm actually really glad that I met you, Heidi, because it's been almost 2 years now. I think in November, I had set a goal. Okay, I need to practice my flute more, and I want to perform more. So I took one of your classes, and it was about telling your story through music. And so it got me back into practicing a little bit and listening a lot. And then a few weeks later, at our music school, I met a pianist, and she says, "Hey, do you want to play duets together and just perform?" And I'm like, yes. So we have been getting together almost every week and performing some for almost 2 years now, and it's really been a blast. So I love, the joy and excitement music brings me, and being able to be creative. And I started playing my flute when I was 10, And I have been in bands and marching bands and orchestras and ensembles. I actually did my bachelor's in music education with an emphasis in flute performance. And then I went on for my master's in flute performance. And I've worked with a lot of marching bands, gone to nationals, and I've had actually quite a few of my own flute students go on for their master's. And I know of at least one that has her doctorate. And she's teaching at a university and performing and doing a lot of really great things. So that really makes my flute teacher heart happy. And I love music. And so I'm really grateful that I've kept up with it. As we know, with everything, if we aren't intentional and purposeful with our practicing, it can just keep being pushed to the side. I'll get to that later. I'll do that. I'm too busy. And so really carving out time to practice. And my practices with my pianist, it gives me incentive to be able to go out and do some things in the public, as well as make time for practice. Otherwise, she's a very patient pianist, and I'm like, I need to practice more. So we've been having fun. And plus, we've developed a friendship there as well, which is perfect. And I also I've done a lot of different things. So when my first two children were younger, we had a lot of sicknesses, and I was preparing quite a bit of foods at home. And I was like, why are we sick all the time? And so I started doing a little bit more studies in nutrition, and I took a certification. And then the laws started changing all over the country. So I was like, okay, I really want to do more in nutrition. And so I actually have another master's in human nutrition and functional medicine. So we look at diet and lifestyle factors and how food impacts mood and autoimmune conditions and just really improving your overall health and wellness. And so with 6 kids, and my mom did say I was crazy. I started my master's when my youngest was 10 months. Yep.
Wow.
And then I finished that fairly quickly because I knew my family could not hang on forever with me in school. So I think it was like, in 17 or 18 months, I finished my master's. So, and then sat for the certified nutrition specialist credential. So, and I was teaching flute all during that time, and making healthy foods and taking care of my family and studying. And let's see, I'm trying to think if I had a cell phone then. I probably had a cell phone, but we didn't have like what we can do now, where I could scroll and my laptop and all of that. So I would actually print out all the articles that I had to read. And everywhere I took my kids, when I was waiting for them, I'd read. And so I just had to use every little ounce of time and plan and, made it happen. So my music has been a huge influence, and I really have kept up with that. I've conducted our church choirs and put together Christmas programs and helped with children's music and then played my flute. And so I have had to work at that because it would be easy to just let it sit in my case. Yeah. And so I'm glad that I've kept up with that. I've kept up with students along the way so that I can keep up with my talent, because really this is one way that I like to relieve my stress, is by playing my flute. And really getting involved in the music. And I notice as I'm practicing different pieces and practicing and performing with the pianist, if I get stressed, I can just turn that music on autopilot in my head, and I can start thinking about the music and the passages and, maybe practicing one of the double tonguing passages while I am doing some other things. And it really helps to distract my mind. So
while you're doing dishes or laundry, and get some good duggas going on there. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do the same thing. Oh my gosh, Marquelle, what a blessing. I could unpack like 10 different things and nuggets gems that you gave us just now, from managing your time with 6 little ones and going back to school and saying, "Ooh, I have a different, I have another additional interest in my life outside of music, and that's nutrition." And you pursued that, and just, oh my goodness, like what an inspiration for you to set an example of going, if there's a will, there's a way. And to not allow, like anybody could easily, myself included, if, just picture myself in your shoes, having 6 kids and going, "Oh, well, I have 6 kids, I'll get that degree later once they all have left the nest." You know what I mean? But for you to have that drive and tenacity and say, "You know what? No, like this is something I need for myself. I want to research this more. I want to show up for continuous learning." Kudos to you. That's not easy.
It was really hard.
Yeah.
So, and one of the reasons why I was really wanting to pursue the nutrition degree further was I was still looking for more answers.
Yep.
And my oldest daughter, when she was 6, her whole immune system collapsed from going into a school where they were lacquering the gym floor, painting walls, redoing and tarring the roof. It had been hit by a tornado, so they'd worked all summer to repair it. And they were still repairing when those kids were in there, and her body could not slough off all those toxins.
Ooh.
And she really crashed. It was really, really scary. She would go into anaphylaxis, and, that was scary. So once I started gaining some momentum and working on her health and her healing and recovery, I was like, I need to learn a little bit more so I can, further her healing and repairing her body, and so I could help other people.
Wow.
And so it really opened up a lot of doors and windows, which opened up with a whole nother area for mental health and self-mastery. And so it's just really, for me, I am a Christian, so God just really kept opening the doors for me as I kept seeking out information.
Fantastic. That is so wonderful. Yeah. So for you to say, "I want to find health solutions for my family," it then had this amazing ripple effect into other people's lives, so much so that you have a business around this work. And so in how many years have you been doing nutrition work with your clients?
Since 2008.
Okay.
So that's been a while.
Yeah. So in these last 15 plus years, what are the lessons? What are the aha moments? What is a common hurdle that you see a lot of clients come to you with? I know, like, I'm asking a very broad stroke question, but I'm just curious, like, how you have grown as a woman in your own right with your own health journey, as a wife or mother, as a coach, and what are some of the things that your clients bring to you so you can help them with XYZ?
Yeah. So one of the main areas of focus that I find most people are struggling with is really remembering their worth, how important it is to take time for them to replenish and rest and rejuvenate. And so, as well as, creating routines, whether that, if you want to call them goals or just routines, patterns that they are implementing into their life every day. And so where I'm going with that, and same thing even with music, when they are working towards something. So weight loss is a huge one, even autoimmune conditions, which autoimmune can be really frustrating because you can have flare-ups, and one day you're doing really great, and the next day it's like you crash. And so you have to really learn to be patient with yourself, give yourself time, and allow yourself to recover in whatever way, because we know, like, I'm going to pick on an autoimmune condition. If you keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing, your body is going to collapse and it's going to take longer to recover. And so it's like, okay, what do I need to do? And so establishing routines, I do a lot of that, meal planning and mindful eating Like you have to prepare ahead of time. Okay, if I'm going to want to make sure I have healthy snacks, I need to prepare ahead of time, whether that's the night before or the morning before or even the weekend before. Okay, do I have snacks on hand? If not, what are a list of snacks that I like and that are quick and easy that I can go to the grocery store and purchase and have on hand, so that we're not out and all of a sudden we're really hungry or hangry. And it's like, okay, I'm just going to stop and get whatever fast food I can, or, something quick like a candy bar or something like that. And then people are like, why did I do that? I didn't want to eat that, And so it just it starts to whittle away on their self-esteem and their confidence, because they feel like, well, I can't follow through with that, so why even try? And so we start with doing small things that over time will make a big impact. And so again, going back to the snacks, okay, I want these snacks and I want to have those available. So all I need to do is just grab and go. So then they can be successful with that. Same thing with their meals. We talk about, with mindful eating, half your plate being vegetables with a little bit of fruit if you'd like. And then you've got about a fourth of it with a protein source, whether that's meat or fish or legumes, or you're not going to probably have half your plate with nuts and seeds. That would be a little bit less of a serving. But that would be on your plate, like if you're having a salad. Yeah. And then you've got some good healthy carbohydrates, whether that's a whole grain or vegetables, or some more of a little bit of fruit. So basically we want to have a well-rounded meal, as well as each individual is different. So we really focus on personalized nutrition. So I know at times, sometimes I need more fats. It just helps me keep my energy up. It helps me be able to think clear. Whereas some people might need more carbohydrates. And if they don't get enough, then they're dragging and sluggish and they just can't think clearly. And some might actually need a little bit more protein. And as we age, we also need more protein. Or if we're recovering from a trauma or an injury, we actually need more proteins, because proteins are the building blocks and they actually help us to repair. So we really, when we are looking at food and nutrition and overall health and wellness, mental health, or eating to improve your moods, you really do have to personalize it. You have to listen to yourself. And if you, one of the things I do is I help educate people with nutrient-dense foods, which is basically the Mediterranean diet. And you can make all sorts of meals and snacks from the Mediterranean diet, and then keeping the processed foods to minimum or less. I've also found with processed foods, I call them fun foods, because we have them when we go to fun things, birthdays, social gatherings, going out. And so I have found, unless somebody has an autoimmune condition or they're really allergic to something, it's better to bring in more of the 80-20 rule. Because when people have a choice of what they can eat, or if they want to eat that or not, they actually are more successful with staying in alignment with eating healthier foods. And then they can choose, yeah, I want that piece of pie, or yes, I want that candy bar, or no, I really want to keep my energy up today, so I'm going to choose to not eat that. And when people can eat and actually nourish themselves, that does help them to have better moods. They think clearer. They're able to get a lot more done. They feel better about themselves because they feel better. And there's not really as much holding them back. So, and then the whole other aspect is, those thoughts and emotions, and being able to navigate those. When we can identify those intrusive thoughts, we notice them and name them, and we can ask, is that 100% true? It's like, no, there might be a little truth, not 100% true. Okay. Then we can flip it to what is true and what we're working towards, what our intentions are, and then find something to do. So when we bring in with music and we are working on a really difficult piece that's really expanding, our skills and our technique and our musicianship. And sometimes we hit a wall and it's like, oh my heck, I can't do this. I'm such a bad player and I'm never going to get it. See all those intrusive thoughts? Here we go. And it's like, okay, if we can stop and cut it short and be like, okay, wait, I'm not getting this right now and I'm working on it. So maybe in that practice session, we could put that aside for a little bit and say, I'm just set this aside for a little bit, and then I'm going to come back. And what is my plan? I'm going to work on these 2 measures or these 4 measures or these 8, varying the rhythms and, the articulation and syncopated, slur by 2, slur 2, tongue 2, all of those things. And that is going to help us to be able to navigate those difficult passages. And so, again, it's not that we are a bad player, or we're never going to get it, or we're stupid, whatever the negative thoughts are. It's just that what is our strategy to help us to learn that? We have to have a lot of repetition, and some of those difficult passages take time to really get it into our muscle memory and for us to also be able to gain that confidence that we need to really go, okay, I've got this. And then when we go to perform it, it's like I always say, all right, I have practiced this. I have prepared. I am ready. And no matter what happens, I'm going to just keep going because we all know every performance is a little bit different, whether we've got different nuances and energy while we're performing, or how did I make a mistake in that spot? I've never made a mistake there, right? And so it's all about being resilient and getting up and moving forward. And when we eat well, that I believe that's one piece of the puzzle to help us with that resilience to be able to, assess where we're at and then go, okay, here's where I'm at and this is what I need to do. And also when we're eating well, we have more energy to be able to navigate the difficult challenges. And we have a different perspective because we feel better. If we're feeling really down and just feeling achy in our whole body, we can't think clearly, then we are going to be a little bit more negative, and it's going to feel like we're bogged down trying to trudge through things. So
true. Keep going. I'm eating it all up.
So for me, that's a motivating factor. I really want to feel well. And so, because I like to do a lot of things. And, there are a lot of stressors in the world and in our lives. There's a lot of toxins. And so, the more we can, I like to say, nourish ourselves, the more we're going to be able to show up to the things that we want to do. And it does help our moods, and it will help us to be able to. Eating well actually does boost the dopamine levels, especially when we bring in colorful fruits and vegetables. And also, we do have to practice identifying those intrusive thoughts. And then, okay, what is true, remembering what we're working towards, and then we find something to do that encourages us and uplifts us instead of being stuck over here in, I call it the shame spiral, where we just keep mulling over and over and we were really stuck. And then same thing with emotions. We're humans. And we like to use, notice, what are we feeling? We want to name it and validate it because we are human instead of just pushing it away or criticizing ourselves. Why are you feeling that way? Just get over it. It's not that big of a deal, when it is a big deal. Otherwise, your nervous system wouldn't be bringing it to your attention. So when we validate it, that starts to neutralize those feelings and that attack, of intrusive thoughts. And then, okay, well, what do I want to feel? And then what do I need to do to help me to move towards that? What are things that have helped me feel happier or more excited before? And what's one thing I can do to start moving towards that? So it's kind of like practice too. Some days we don't want to practice. At least I don't, right? Until I get there. And then once I get started, I'm like, just start. You can do this. Once I get into the practice, I'm like, I feel so much better. It's like, it's okay. I'm going to keep going. And it's very enjoyable. Sometimes it's just starting, just taking that next step.
I love all of that. I could talk to you for the next 3 to 5 hours on that snippet alone because there's
Right?
so
There's
much
so
there.
much.
There's so much there. And I think that's why you and I get along so well. And it's because I love the way you think. I love how you are laying out this foundation of honoring the body. What does the body need? And then if you nourish it correctly, from there, you're practicing your work, your gigs, you being a parent, being a aunt or uncle, whatever other role you're going to step into, flutist, family, friend, you're going to show up better because you live in this beautiful shell that God gave us. And so if your body is working with you and for you because you're supporting it, it will not only be able to support you, but it will be able to support the things that you want to get your hands on and the goals that you want to tackle. And it's this confident, it's like, when I made that huge shift for me back in 2012, going into an anti-inflammatory diet, I have not looked back since because it is invigorating. It is life-giving. And it's like, oh my goodness, my cup like overfloweth of like this happy, joyful, bubbling feeling because my body finally feels like, oh, you're taking care of me. Thank you so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, you cannot not share that information because of how good you feel. And especially with you being a licensed nutritionist, you've seen the actual results in your clients' lives too, and your family and yourself. And it's like, it's worth sharing. And so like having that foundation, I love how you think of not only that, but then correlating these different parallel lessons. So you're like, oh, I get to learn this in the health world and the body and nutrition and foods. And it's very similar to our music world in this way. And I love how you overlap that. So thank you so much for doing that so beautifully.
Yeah, you're welcome. And yes, things do overlap. And it is remembering that taking care of ourselves, self-care, really is important. And a lot of times for us to be able to implement self-care, we've also got to bring in self-compassion.
Okay.
And being gentle with ourselves on days that we are moving slow, or we don't feel good, we got a cold, or maybe we were injured. And I don't know about you, but I'm always like, come on, hurry up. I want to get over this because I don't like feeling like this and it's slowing me down. And what I've learned is if we actually accept that, and then we think less is actually going to be more. So even if we have to slow down for a day or two or a week, maybe sometimes even a little bit longer, that is actually going to be more in the long run.
Yes, 1000%. I just got out of a flare up actually 3 days ago. And me, and I'm good now, old me would have been like, oh, come on, Heidi. And I would have shamed her, and I would have tried to push through and put more on my plate and or try to keep up with my regular schedule. So what ended up happening was I took some time away from my PT work and I got back into it on Thursday. I was like, all right, we're going to do this. And I got back into my exercises. Well, let me just say I hit my routine and my exercise workout a little too hard. Friday, I started feeling something and I was like, oh, I'm tight. Okay. Saturday, flare up. Sunday, flare up. And I literally made the choice. You always have a choice. It wasn't easy for me, but I made the choice to say, you're just going to sleep for however long your body needs until you feel better. And I took Saturday and Sunday off. And this morning, Monday morning, I feel like a whole new woman. And if I did not intentionally take off those 48 hours to rest, to give myself the food and the stretching and the exercise and just the soft stretching and nutrition that I knew I needed, I would have then spiraled into still hurting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So even though it feels like you're giving up 2 days, I had to make that choice and tell myself and remind myself, yes, it's only 2 days, but if you don't rest, digest, and pause, it could spiral into 3, 4, 7 days. And I really don't have a week to be off away from my schedule. I can give up 2 days. So you have that choice. And when you make that choice, it actually feels empowering because it's like, oh, I did that for myself. You know what I mean? I didn't shame myself into the spiralingness of going, oh, you should be doing this. Oh, you should be doing that. But like for you to actually make that conscious choice of going, okay, this is what's best for me right now in this moment. And then you look back on it, hindsight's this beautiful thing. And you go, oh, wow. And you pat yourself on the back and go, good job, Heidi. Or, I don't know. It boosts my confidence to have that self-awareness and to pull the right tools from my toolbox in a particular moment or season. It's very empowering.
It is. It is, because we're honoring ourselves and where we're at. Instead of judging and just trying to push through, we're actually honoring that, okay, I do need to rest. I do need to reset. I do need to digest. And sometimes we, like, even mentally, we need to digest things so that our body can just, okay, I think I've got that. And now I can move forward again. I'm sure you know Pat George.
Yeah.
She's amazing. I love her. So she was my teacher for like 4 years. And then I kept studying with her on and off over the summers and throughout years after that. And when I was in, I think my sophomore year of college, I really felt like I hit this wall, and I was trying so hard to prepare for these auditions and recitals and all of the things as a music major. And I just broke down one day. Oh, I can't do it. I'm never going to get it. She gave the coolest analogies. She said, you know what? When you are working, you feel like you hit this wall, it's not that you slid back and you're getting worse. She said you've plateaued.
Okay.
And she said our progress as a musician, we plateau and then we go up. It's kind of like stairs, and then we plateau again and we go up the stairs, and then we plateau again. And she said it's what you're wanting to do on those plateaus is to be able to maintain instead of kind of fighting against yourself. And I think this is the time that we're really digesting all that we've been learning, processing, and really getting good at maintaining and sustaining those skills that we had. And then we get to go to that next level. It's like
I see.
we kind of have this breakthrough, and it's like we were refreshed. Okay, now here we can go again. And so really part of the resilience is being able to still honor where you're at and still implement those routines to help you to be able to continue to move towards those performances and those goals that you have as a musician, and know that you're not going backwards. You are maybe just on that plateau, which you're still playing well. And as you keep doing the basics and solidifying your foundation and keeping that self-mastery, you're going to be able to then go to that next level, whatever that means.
I love that. And that could be so true with our exercise or health goals too. It feels like we've plateaued, but what you just said, there's maintenance and there's foundation, everything's coming together, and then you can go to the next tier. Yeah. I love that. So you've brought up this theme throughout our conversation quite a bit, and it's routines. I'm a routine girly. I love routines. I love color coding. I love schedules and journals. I love it. What is the number one thing or top two things that you would offer the podcast listener in terms of routines? If they are craving, for example, I just got off a call with a past student. He's international, and he's just like, I really need help, Dr. Heidi, with managing my time and balancing all this out. And I know what he means by balancing, social life and school and work out, but it's more of this counterbalance. You can't really have all areas of your life completely balanced out. It's just not, I don't think that's a whole nother rabbit hole, but I don't think it's possible. But anyways, with that being said, I think, this modern day flutist, we're thrown a lot between family and friends and work and degrees and studios. It's hard to find a routine at first. It could be a challenge. It doesn't have to be hard, but it feels challenging at first to find a routine that works for each individual. So with that being said, juggling all the different hats and setting up a routine, what is like your top one or two tips that you would offer that flutist?
Yeah. One of the things that's really helpful, so we want to start our day off well. So just some quick little hacks. You could actually drink 8 to 16 ounces in the morning, first thing, in the morning. And that actually helps to energize us and gets those cells moving. And if you have a tendency of, I don't want to get up I'm going to just go back to sleep. That water will actually wake you up. And so you won't be able to actually go back to sleep, which is really nice.
Oh,
The
nice.
second thing is when you get up, if you can practice saying, today is going to be a great day. What that does is that gives your mind something to look for throughout the whole entire day. It gives the mind the opportunity to look for, how is my day going to be a great day? And so it really kind of kickstarts our day, which is exciting. And it boosts our dopamine levels right there at the very beginning of the day.
Ooh.
So you think, oh, really? And I've been using it for probably a few years now. Today is going to be a great day. And sometimes if I'm waking up and I'm not feeling super great, I might say it a little sarcastic, but at least I put it out there. And then my day does go well, or at least better, because I'm already focusing on, how is today going to be a great day? And so, where we focus is where we go. And so we want to put out there, what we want to move towards. And I always want to move towards it being a great day and being able to navigate those challenges. The second thing is with nutrition. If you can include 3 to 5 colors on your plate for at least 2 meals, so 3 to 5 colors for 2 meals, that's going to give you more. And this is not with Skittles.
Not that taste the rainbow,
Right.
but the other rainbow.
Yes. So we want fruits and vegetables, your nuts, seeds, berries. And that is going to help to boost your mood. It's also going to give you more fiber. It's going to give you more vitamins and minerals. It gives you variety. So actually, it satisfies you more when you've got the multiple colors on your plate. And it's going to give you the energy that you want. Now, with that, I have one more little tool that I like to share with everyone, is to make sure you have one protein or a fat with your carbohydrates, because we want to help keep the blood sugar levels regulated. And I'm sure all of you have either had a bag of chips or cookies. And yes, it gives you energy for about 30 minutes, and then, man, you crash. You're either really sleepy, or you just start getting cranky, or you need another candy bar or bag of chips to get that blood sugar back up again. So if you can have a good protein or a good fat, or a protein and a fat with your carbohydrate snacks and meals, it will sustain those blood sugar levels, help your body to be able to regulate it. And so it will actually help you with your mood and your energy throughout the day. And healthy fats are like the logs on the fire. So that's our long burning energy versus our carbohydrates are our quick burning energy. And so those are some easy things that you can start with right now, is when I eat, can I bring in a good protein or a fat with those carbohydrates? And having 3 to 5 colors on your plate at least twice a day. If you make a smoothie and you've got multiple colors in there and you get one color at the end, that still counts. And have fun, with your food. You can plate your food to really give it some, or however you're setting your table, if you like a placemat, or you've got, a flower or something like that, or you like to plate your food a certain way, that will actually bring a spark of light, to your life, and just make it fun because it's creative.
I want to ask you a question about that. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, have you ever seen actual research based on what you just said to be like valid, where it does help the consumption
the creativity?
The consumption of your meal when you plate it versus when you don't? I think it sends a signal, like I read somewhere a long time ago, it sends a signal to your brain, and there's actually more enjoyment when you plate it, and you get more excited to consume that meal because it's plated beautifully on a plate, a bowl, a napkin, a candle, etc.
So there are a lot of studies out there for mindful eating.
Okay.
And that's more being mindful versus dashboard dining.
Okay.
Where we grab it and we're eating while we're driving, or while we're walking, or while we're running out the door. The reason why mindful eating and plating it or putting it on a napkin is important, and it's even more important if you can sit
and actually enjoy that communion.
Yeah. Because when we are digesting our food, we actually need to be, that rest and digest is actually real. We need to be able to have our body in that parasympathetic nervous system state, which is rest, relax, calm. And, if we're eating when we're driving, if we're eating when we're walking, we're in more of that sympathetic nervous system. And so it actually slows down our digestion. So we aren't able to break down and utilize our foods as well because we are not relaxing and tuning into our food, tuning into what we're tasting and, what we hear when we're eating, what we're seeing with our eyes, what we can feel, whether it's with our fork or if we're eating something with our fingers. It really, I think eating when we sit down to eat, I really believe that eating is kind of a gift for ourselves where we get to sit down and check in and just pause. It's kind of like a created pause because we have to eat. And yet, because we do have so many fast foods, a lot of times people are eating on the go, and that's not helping you to be able to utilize your foods to its fullest effect.
Wow. That just goes to show you there's another layer there in the man-made food, diet, lifestyle world versus the way that God had intended. So even not just talk about the nutrition and how man-made foods tend to be empty calories, where it's just high fructose corn syrup and packaging and wrappers and all that. I won't go down that rabbit hole. Not the nutritional facts in of itself, but just the way you consume the food is not actually proactive in helping your body with digestion because it's McDonald's, fast food, slamming it down your throat before the next, scheduled meeting versus actually nutrition-based, nutrient-based, very dense foods that God made, right? All the different colors to the rainbow and actually sitting down, maybe even, I'm sure, sitting down with loved ones, if that's a luxury and that's a privilege, but sitting down with loved ones and being in that communion with one another probably also helps just your heart and your joy and, because you're among others, right? But just the fact of consuming it, what you just said, it's a check-in, it's a pause, it's a time for reflection. And that helps the body too with digestion. I never thought about the actual setup in of itself being powerful in that way too. I love that.
Yeah. And when we could bring in gratitude, gratitude, whether that's a prayer or just, wow, I'm so grateful for this food, or I'm so grateful how this tastes. It's making me feel good. And I do think when we can have meals with our family, that it's such a great gift because we're checking in with them, checking in with us. And one other little nugget about eating and sitting down, it actually takes 20 minutes for our brain to catch up with our stomach when we're eating.
Okay.
So if we think about Thanksgiving dinner where you eat, and people eat super fast and then they eat more. And then about 30 minutes later, they're like, oh my goodness, I ate so much. I ate way too much and now I feel sick. That's because their brain did not register that they were full yet. And so that's why it's really important to be mindful to sit down and eat slowly. And that will help us so we don't overeat. It will actually help us to be able to notice when we're full, and then we can say, okay, I'm going to stop. Or if we're 80% full, we can stop. And that will actually really help us with digestion. And it'll also help us so that we can feel energetic and have clear thinking and, have a good mood after we eat instead of wanting to just lay down and take a nap or just feeling sick to your stomach. So there's a lot to be said with being mindful with your eating and sitting down and taking your time.
Wow, that is so cool. You have to wait for your second brain and your real brain to catch up with one another.
Yes. Yep, that gut-brain axis is a real deal.
Yeah.
And it does take time for the brain to register.
Nice. Oh my goodness. So with routines, in a nutshell, you laid that out so beautifully, from waking up and having that piece of gratitude. Today's going to be a great day. And thinking about your meal choices and the foods on your plate, actually plating it. I loved everything that you just walked us through in terms of routines. Thank you. That gave me a lot of inspiration to think about what I could tweak and implement and just different ways of perceiving it. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. So I know we've talked about like your career and how you help clients. I want to respect your time since we're hitting close to the 45-minute mark. Is there something that you want to leave the listener with, something that we have not covered and that you tend to notice that you articulate quite a bit throughout your own day with your clients or throughout the week? Like, is there something that you're always saying on repeat?
Yeah. So one thing that I've been saying a lot when we talk about routines or having a plan, that actually creates a lot of safety for your brain. And
Okay.
so if you know something is going to be stressful, or if there's a pattern where you're like, wow, this is always so stressful for me, away from that or before an activity or event, create a plan. Okay, this is my plan. So I'm going to pick on practice routines. When I practice, I'm going to do my scales for 5 minutes today because I only have a half an hour at this time. And then I'm going to work on 10 minutes of etudes and 15 minutes of my solo pieces. And then I'm going to break it down. Okay, on the solo piece, I need to work on these measures in this part. And then these are the things that I'm going to do with that. So when we get into that practice routine, if things start, if you start to get anxious, or maybe even before you go practice, you can say, okay, I've got my plan. This is what I'm going to do. And these are the things that I'm going to walk through. When you have a plan, it creates safety for your brain. It decreases anxiety. And we can just default to the plan and move through that plan. Now, of course, we can adjust it as needed. It's just that if we have a plan, we're going to be more successful with following through and decreasing that anxiety and overwhelm when that situation comes.
Oh, 1000%. Yes, I needed that validation. So I'm just imagining like the personal conversations I have with my husband. When something goes awry in the business or life or something, I always revert to saying like, but what's the plan? So what's the plan? And he's like, I'll get back to you. But like, it's not that I have to have that plan, like every T crossed and every I dotted. I know that that's not realistic. I know that he doesn't have all the details figured out, but I tell him, I say out loud, as long as you articulate some sort of framework to me, even if it's just like very basic outline, A to B, I'm with you. If I have something in my brain to kind of latch onto, I feel more supported and safe.
Yes. And that's 100% right there.
Okay.
It's just having an overview. What is my basic plan that I can default to, that I know, because there's certainty in that.
Right.
And if we decide, if we get into that plan, okay, yes, I'm looking at this, and you know what? I'm actually going to adapt and adjust this, and we're going to do this.
Okay.
That's still going to be okay because you were looking at the plan and you have the plan and you're working it. And yeah, I can adjust this. I'm okay with that. And then we move forward because it's still moving us towards what we're wanting to move towards.
Yeah.
So the other thing is, I like to say small things over time make a big impact.
Okay.
And people are always like, why do I have to do that? Is that really going to make a difference? I don't know. Because people are looking for some big thing.
Okay.
And that's not what gets us to where we want to go. It's the little things that we do every day, those small routines, the small things we're intentional and purposeful about that help us to be able to have those big moments of joy or feeling really great, or wow, I was not feeling well here and look where I'm at now. We can't go from here to here just like with 1, 2, 3 leaps. I call it the microwave. Everybody wants this quick fix right now. The body repairing and healing itself, and in implementing new habits and routines, which is basically moving us towards behavior change. It takes time. Behavior change takes a lot of time. When we think about music, that muscle memory and being able to, remember really quickly, it takes time, and we have to keep up with it because we know, otherwise we miss practicing a week or 2 weeks. We try to come back and play it at the level of performance. It's not always there because, that muscle memory and everything is kind of deteriorated a little bit. So those small things that you do over time do make a big impact. So creating your plan, implementing your plan, taking those small steps, and that will help you. So, I like to, even with food, think about, okay, do you want to focus on one meal that you want to try to improve, or do you want to focus on bringing in a snack at a certain time of day? And then we focus on one thing, and what can you do? Are you going to bring in some more colors on a meal? Are you going to move from more processed into some more of those whole nutrient-dense foods that we find in a Mediterranean diet? Mm-hmm. And snacks, what snacks have you had, and what are some that you like that you could start implementing? So you're focusing on one thing to help you to be able to go to that next level of improving your health and wellness. And then you can go to the next one. Okay, I've really got this down solid. 21 to 28 days to create a habit. And then you can focus in on another one. And then one more. Celebrating anything that's going well, even the little things. If you will celebrate to elevate, and it really will help boost your dopamine levels. And what it does is when we celebrate, then the brain starts looking for, ooh, I want more of that. She was excited about that. That went well. And it will actually create forward momentum for us. And so that will take practice. I've been doing that for a few years now. And when I first started celebrating anything I did well, I couldn't do it for quite a while, because I'm like, why would I want to do that? I messed up over here. Yes, we can recognize, okay, we messed up, but this was really great. Let's celebrate this. And now what's my plan that I need to create so that this can improve, and I can refine this, and I can move forward with that. And so it really is a win-win when we can celebrate and then refine where we want to improve. And how do we refine it? We create a plan, and then we recommit, and we repeat and try it again. So it's just a really great way to implement.
Oh my gosh, Marquelle, I'm not saying this just to say this because you're my friend. This has been one of the most exciting, exhilarating conversations that I have had on 360. And I thank you tenfold.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I've learned so much.
Good. And it's just the little things that make a big difference.
Yeah, it really is. Baby steps, and walk with yourself every day, because every day is going to be a little different. And what can you do to show up for yourself in that moment, in that time? What does your body need? Listen to it. That's what I've learned along the way, is your body will talk to you if you just give it space to listen and say, okay, and check in and go, what do you need? How can I help you? It really will. I had a migraine one time, and I was like, what do I do? What do you need? And my mouth was just craving the taste of mangoes. I was like, okay. And I got some mangoes, and headache went away. And so I think it sounds very woo-woo, like, oh, listen to your body. But it really is true. Like, it gives you signals and symptoms, and it sends you messages. So if you can carve out some time just to listen and tap in and go, where are you? How can I come alongside you and help you? It can go a long way. And so with all that being said, with your routines and walking alongside yourself day in and day out, I am so tremendously grateful of your expertise and your friendship and your time. And I'm that much more excited about you being our special guest on Saturday, October 25th, 2025 at 11 a.m. Central Time. So if you're listening to this message with Marquelle and you're like, yes, and I want some more, she's going to dive in more on these topics in our Accelerator session through Flute 360. And we would love to see you there.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Heidi. I'm looking forward to it. I'm super excited. And it's always a pleasure to learn from you. And I'm excited. Come with your questions.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Marquelle. Have a blessed day, and I will see you soon.
All right. Thank you, Heidi. You take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. If you've been listening and thinking, that's me, I'm the flutist who's been stuck, unseen, unsure where to go next, I want you to hear this. You are not behind. You are not too late. And you are absolutely not alone. The Flute 360 Accelerator was built for you, the artist who's ready to be fully seen, fully heard, and fully supported. Each month, we gather live, a circle of flutists who are done pretending, who are building careers, confidence, and creative freedom together. It's messy, yes, and it's real, and it's also beautiful. This isn't another online course. It's a living, breathing studio where your artistry grows from the inside out. Our next live session is October 25th at 11 a.m. Central Time, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. Tier 2 is our best seller for a reason. Full participation, coaching access, and a front row seat to your own transformation. So, come as you are. Click the link in the show notes, and let's start writing the next chapter of your story together.
Let's talk about flute.